Alright, so today we are doing the clutch on my little XR80 here. And yes, I know it's got an 83 seat on it. I've been told that a zillion times. So here's the clutch. I didn't bother filming or removing the clutch cover. Apparently Rotella 1540 is the best oil for these little wet clutch setups. But yeah, like I said, I didn't bother filming, taking any of that nonsense off, because I'm pretty sure you guys know how to take a Kickstarter off by now. And so now we're going to remove, I've already loosened all this shit because it's, you know, one-handed cameraman, so don't lose that ever, because your clutch won't work without it. So the clutch I'm going to be using, hang on a sec here, fuck, my filming skills are dismal failure. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Now we got clutch springs, pull those out. I like to replace my clutch springs every time I replace my clutch because they do get worn out. There's my new clutch sitting in the bath of oil, soaking. The clutch I'm using is a Tusk brand clutch with, I believe, EBC springs. I bought it off eBay actually. And here's the funny thing, this bike actually has an XR100 clutch in it, not an XR80 clutch. I replaced a clutch in this bike a few years ago, and it turned out that the clutch was actually from a 100, what I got from the parts yard. Okay, so there's the whole clutch pack there. So we're going to take that off. You don't need to take off the inner hub. You can just leave that, inspect it for cracks. You know, make sure nothing's broken or missing or, you know, any of that fun shit. You know, look in there. Okay. So, we got to take off all of that shit. We'll inspect those after. I'm just going to get everything put back together here. Okay, yeah, it goes like that. Alright. Okay, so we have our new clutch plates. Yeah, I'm soaking in oil. So this is really easy. You want to go fiber disc. Oh, down there, idiot. Okay, there we go. Then you want to go steel disc. Like you're making a sandwich, right? Clutch. Oily clutch sandwich. You go fiber again. You want to make sure you line up all that shit so it all, you know, jives like it should. I'm going to go another one of these. Just make sure everything is put the right way around here, because there is an actual direction for these things to go on, so you don't want to put them on the wrong way, because things might not really work out for you. There's a sharp edge and a soft edge. Do you want the... Okay, yeah, I got it. There we go. The sharp edge to face back. You want to make sure everything is the same. Okay, so there. The XR80 clutch has 3 friction discs and 2 steel discs. The XR100 clutch has 4 frictions and 3 steels. There is a difference. They are completely interchangeable though, which is really cool. You know, I had to find that out for myself because it was the only clutch that was available. And I wasn't going to go to Honda and buy the clutch plates they had because they were extremely expensive. Like retarded expensive. Okay, so there's our clutch pack. Now we're gonna... better fucking not get oil on the carpet, I'll get in trouble again. You gotta kind of line up your clutch discs. This is really a two-handed job, but I'm doing it one-handed. So you gotta get... okay, there we go. There's 1. 2. There. Okay. Now we got the new clutch is installed. Everything feels nice. This old clutch, let's look at it for a minute here. Trippy, oily motherfucker. There's a new clutch springs. These are heavy duty clutch springs. You can see they're taller than the originals. They say they're supposed to be 15% stronger, I believe, is what they claim on the package. So we're going to run with those because those clutch springs slip like crazy and are horrible. Rotella. From what I understand, it's not really a good idea to use car engine oil in a wet clutch because the friction modifiers in the oil wreak havoc on these wet bath clutches. From what I understand and what I've been told, and I completely agree. There's the clutch springs in. That's going to be a pain to put back on. Clean that oil up a little bit, but that's going to go in the engine as well. These engines don't actually hold a whole liter of oil. Maybe about a half, 3/4 of a liter, or most of one. Let's look at the clutch discs here for a minute. I know this video is all over the fucking place, and that's just the way it is, but this bike, you would literally put it into gear, hit second, shift to third, and hit the gas, and nothing. It would just spin the clutch all the whole time. There's not very much. They feel glazed. There's not really much, meat left on them. And these things here, you can tell by how shiny they are. Like you can see, if you look at the teeth here, they're a different color than the friction surface that meets up with that. You can tell, and you can actually feel it with your thumbnail, which means that these are fucking worn right down, and you can see both sides are completely shot. So this clutch was way far overdue for a change. Yeah, look at that, nice and shiny. It should have like a kind of a textured finish on it. And another thing is, whatever you fucking do, don't lose that thing. See this? That right there is for your, I think that's for your oil pump, I believe. And you don't want to lose that. Your oil pump's under here. I can't remember exactly what this is for or what they call it, but I know it's a bad time if you lose that. So now, I'd need two hands, so I can't film it unfortunately, but there's a snap ring that goes in the center here that you obviously put it on there. And then you put on this guy right here, which has got your little throwout bearing and stuff in it, your little, whatever you want to call it, push rod or something. And that guy goes on over that with those 4 bolts. I know this isn't really a detailed, extreme, really good explanation, but, you guys can kind of see what all needs to be done, or just the basic part of it, without me explaining how to remove a fucking screw for half an hour. Kind of probably should have flushed this engine out a little bit beforehand. Maybe I'll still do that. The oil that came out of it was about 5 years old and blacker than sin. So the tools you will need, I luckily don't have to take my foot pegs off to do that. I didn't have snap ring pliers, so I use these little needle nose pliers to get the snap ring in there out. You will need a 10mm socket. I had to use a 10mm wrench because this big header tube I have here, it's really hard to get a socket to fit between here to get your flange off. So I just used a wrench and then a big flat screwdriver. And yes, it has a super trap exhaust with 12 rings in it, and it fucking barks. It's loud. It sounds like a 500. So you'll have to do that to get access to move your header pipe around so you can get all the screws out. Then you're going to need yourself an impact Phillips head screwdriver, flat screwdriver, whatever the fuck size socket that is, pair of pliers, and a hammer. It's basic hand tools, really simple shit. I do have a new clutch adjuster for this. I can't find it at the moment. I know I bought it, I just put it down somewhere and I cannot find it. That is clutch sludge. See that? It's like black paint. And the shitty thing is with these engines, they don't have an oil filter on them. There's usually a little pickup screen. I believe it's underneath this gasket right here. But, if you're an idiot and you're going to try and burn your clutch or fucking whatever, every time this clutch wears, that friction material off the clutch is going through your whole motor, right? So it's getting on your cam and your rockers and everything. And all you got is that little strainer down there to clean all that up. It doesn't really do a whole lot, but it's kind of better than nothing. You want to inspect everything, make sure everything turns nice and smooth inside here. My engine's sitting on top dead center right now, but that's why it's so hard to turn. But, you know, just kind of go around in there and inspect everything, make sure there's, you know, nothing hideously wrong. You know, like all your shift detents and all sorts of stuff, there's no... If this little wheel right here is cracked, which does happen, if that cracks, you'll notice you'll put it into gear, it'll pop out all the time, you'll have to hold it in first or second or whatever gear, and it just becomes a big hassle. That's what that part is right there. I can't give you the part number for it because I don't have it on hand, but that's usually what it is. And every time you change gears, this right here moves on those notches to, you know, allow for the shifting. But yeah, I was lucky that my gasket actually came off in all one piece without tearing, so that's kind of nice because I live nowhere near a Honda dealership, and I'm pretty sure they'd probably want $30 for a clutch cover gasket, and I'd have to order it, so lucky for me. Anyways, I need 2 hands to put this shit back together. There'll probably be a part 2 to this, so keep your eyes peeled and fucking rock on.